Welcome to RetroLogic. I'm Dan Caporello here with the whole crew plus. We've got whole crew plus today, new game plus, if you will. We've got me, we've got John, we've got Shannon, we have Sam, and our special guest today, Moses, also known as Well-Red Mage, joining us to have a very interesting conversation about genre, which is surprisingly divisive, so I hear. But we're here to have a little chat and have a good time with all five of us. So who knows what the length of this is going to be? This could be a 4-hour podcast at this point with all of us here, but hopefully it's not too long, because then who knows who's going to listen to this whole thing. But RetroLogic isn't just a podcast. It's a community of retro gamers. We've got an active, friendly, and free Discord, giveaways, contests, and you can dive into our whole family of podcasts like RetroGroove, a mystery. Oh, a mystery.
We have a mystery podcast.
History music podcast. I mixed them up. We should have a mystery podcast. That'd be fun. On Topic Retro, hosted by our very own John Cummins, which is dedicated to one video game per episode. And y'all just did you guys record it yet? Spirit Tracks and
no, that's going to record on the 3rd. I just did a On Topic Modern on Metroid Prime 4, where we did a spoiler cast.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
We had 2 of the Nintendo dads on there, Tim and Marty.
Oh, you got to have Tim. You're doing Metroid.
That's right.
Yeah, got to. Excellent. And we also have our movie podcast, FilmLogic. Yeah, and those guys are always doing weird stuff. So go check them out.
That's an understatement.
All of that can be found. Such worth a listen. All of that can be found over at our website, retrologic.games, which is working now, as I said last time.
Ding, 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 ding.
You can go to that URL and it'll pull something up. Moses, I'm going to let you say what's going on, dude. How are you? What do you have going on?
Hey, mahalo for the invite to the podcast. I'm happy to be on here again. It was a while ago that I think that I was on here. I can't remember exactly what we talked about.
We did Fire. No, not Fire. What's the other Fire? Breath of Fire.
Breath of Fire.
Yes.
I was like, Fire Emblem. I must have been BSing because I don't think I've ever a Fire Emblem. But I appreciate you guys having me on. Excited to talk about the topic. That's been full on research for like going on 4 years now. So very excited to talk about genre studies. And right now I dialed back on a lot of stuff. I recently stepped down from my website and retired from video game review writing after about 10 years. And I'm just focusing on doing streams right now. So, and I beg your pardon, like I mentioned to you folks too at the start, like just came down with a little sinus cold. So that explains the deep tones. And if you hear weird mouth noises, it's because I have a cough drop in my mouth. So, but I figure that's better than, having a hacking fit on the middle of your podcast.
That's fair.
But right now I'm just really focusing on streaming. I stream week daily, 1 p.m. Central, and we're still playing through every Super Nintendo RPG. We've got about 7 left, I think, to beat of the 47.
What are you on right now?
Uncharted Waters New Horizons.
Ooh,
okay.
Which none of you looked like you were like, oh, that's my favorite game, because I don't think it's anybody's favorite game.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. It's a sailing simulator RPG. It's a sequel, so there's 2 of these things on this system, but this one's much smoother than the first one. It's easier to play. It's faster. It gives you more information. But you play as there's 6 characters. I'm playing as one of them, who's like a dude from Portugal in the era of discovery, and so I'm like trading goods between Athens and Naples and stuff like that. And I'm like,
nice.
All right, when do we get to kill God? Because it's a JRPG still, but it's not that kind of JRPG, So yeah,
it's
a different experience. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Good. Yeah, well, good stuff. Well, always happy to have you on, man. And let's dive right in. We've got we did a little bit of housekeeping already. I just kind of breezed through it. So we can. Oh, Sam, if you want to talk a little bit about what you've been streaming lately, since you're the streamer on deck.
Yeah, so I've been keeping pace with 2 streams a week, which is still kind of new for me. But I'm doing kind of two games series concurrently. I wrapped up the first Armored Core, and I'm about somewhere between a third to a half through Fire Emblem Path of Radiance as well.
Which system were you playing the Armored Core on?
It's PlayStation 1 game. I was playing it on a PS2. That's just what I have. I've actually never owned a PS1. I was introduced to the PlayStation 1 through the PS2 because backwards compatibility is cool.
I thought there was a remake or something. Like, wasn't there one on DS or something? Or maybe not DS. Or
there were some PSPs. I actually, fun fact, just learned that the mobile games are on Steam. So these were only released in Japan. They still are not translated. But a lot of the menus are in English.
That's so weird.
So it's mostly like the dialogue that's untranslated and some descriptions. So those might be worth checking out. I don't know. I mean, they're from like phones. They're like for phones from like the 2000s. So like early Nokia. 2000s.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're a little rough, but you know. This week I was going to start Project Phantasma. My disc was not cooperating, so I'm going to try and get that resurfaced to see if that solves that. I kept going anyway. You can see the video on my YouTube channel, Third Strongest Mole. I played some Coldcept instead on the PS2 since it was already hooked up. In honor of the
new
recent revival.
Let's go.
So that was fun.
We're going to get... That's going to be a total RetroLogic effect where everybody's going to pick that game up now because we talk about it.
I hope so.
Episode,
I hope so. That and Dokapon.
I say we need to figure out a way to stream our board game sessions.
Yeah, you guys have been doing Dokapon.
We could do it to Discord.
Yeah, we've been doing Dokapon.
Yeah, definitely.
We've been doing game chat too, but
good deal. Anybody else been playing anything fun? Shannon, what have you been playing lately?
Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined. So
surprise!
I know. Still just going hard on Dragon Quest right now.
How many hours are you in now?
I think I'm around 7.5, something like that.
So you're just a little bit ahead of me. I think I'm like 5.5.
Unfortunately, the last couple of days I haven't had really any time to put into them, but yeah, I'm enjoying that. It's definitely different. But all the heart and everything is still there.
It's beautiful though.
It's beautiful game, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's mostly what I've been playing. A little bit of Phantom Hourglass in preparation. I haven't been moving through the games as quickly as John, who's like done it like it's his full-time job.
Yeah, that's what Trey was saying. I was like, well, it took me. I mean, I played Phantom Hourglass for almost a month. It was like 3.5 weeks. Spirit Tracks I'm enjoying a lot more, so I've been going through it at a fairly faster pace, putting a couple hours in every day probably. But
I've always been of the opinion that Spirit Tracks was the superior of the two.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of lessons learned with how to do the stylus gameplay.
Right.
It feels a little bit more crisp, more responsive.
Even with its shortcomings and linearness, it's got more interesting stuff going on, I think.
And then my son and I completed Revenge of the Savage Planet today. He was sick and out of school, so we played some games this morning. We've been working on that game for like the last 2 months, just like a little bit here and there whenever we both have time. Because he's 16 now, so it's harder to find time to game with him.
Mm-hmm.
Or when he wants to play something that's goofy like that and not Call of Duty or Rainbow Six or something. But man, that game is a blast for co-op play. If anyone needs something goofy to play, it's like a goofy Metroid Prime. It's Revenge of the Savage Planet. It's a sequel of Journey to the Savage Planet.
Okay.
It's a game that's like, I think I've talked about it on here before, but it's very very Metroid inspired, but also at this like Metroid Prime inspired. You scan everything on the planets, and it's a shooter, but it's not like it's third person instead of first person. And you collect creatures on the planets to get upgrades. Like it's got all kinds of weird mechanics, but there's all kinds of goofy shenanigans that goes on with co-op.
I might look into that for me and my son.
It'd be worth it.
He's been trying Metroid Prime 4, and it's just not his.
This would probably be more fun for him.
He loves watching me play Metroid Prime because I'm like good at it, but he doesn't really. But he and I have been doing a lot of Splatoon 3. He just got his own copy, so now we're like doing like matches together, and that's been insanely fun. God, jumping back into Splatoon. Splatoon's never a bad time, just always a blast. Especially we do a lot of salmon run. So that's been good. And then today I picked up a board game. I picked up the Minecraft Heroes of the Village board game, which says it starts at 7 years old, but I got my 6-year-old on it today. And he followed it. He did great. It's pretty simple, although it has a lot of stuff going on. Like you kind of like physically build structures with little blocks in order to like complete achievements to prevent the pillager from coming in and destroying your village. Like you build like castle or like barrack or like house or something, and it like prevents him from coming in. So it's a co-op board game, which we really like. There's a lot of physical stuff going on. So it's pretty good. If you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds who like Minecraft in any way, like it's pretty solid. So I recommend that as far as board games go. And then I haven't really been playing anything other than like Ball Pit and Animal Crossing on the daily.
The game of life.
Yeah, mostly just been dealing with real life. But kids are all doing stuff, so that's pretty much that. Moses, are you doing anything gaming wise for fun right now, or are you mostly just doing what's on stream? Oh, he's got your headphones died or something. Yeah, sorry, bud. Yeah, no worries.
Maybe.
It's all right. I can edit right here.
Sorry about that. Headset turned off. I don't know why.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I can hear you now. So
we edit these, so I can cut that out.
Okay.
Did you hear the question at least?
I heard you say Moses, and then it died.
And then it died?
Yeah, like at that exact moment. I was like, sweet. Yeah.
Okay, so the question was, we were just talking about games we're playing, so I was wondering if you're playing anything for fun or if you're just doing streaming right now.
Yeah, no, actually, I just completed my annual playthrough of Mega Man X. Freaking adorable. Every time. I love that game. Every time I come back to it, I'm just like, this is so impressive. Every single time. So that was a lot of fun. And then with my kids, I'm playing through the Rockman series. So we just finished Mega Man 5. Which I realize is not my favorite. I don't like 5 quite much at all. I do like 4 though. 4 was actually the first. 4 was the first game that I bought with my own money. I was like 7 or 8 years old, but I had money saved up from like chores and birthdays and stuff like that. So 4 is a very special game to me. That was really fun to replay through. Revisiting 6 right now, and I remember the first time I played 6, I was like, why is this so hard? They made it so hard. And then going back and playing 6 now, I'm like, oh, this is cake. So it's all perspective, you know?
Yeah.
But that's on the Legacy collection. And I was like, you know what? Once we finish 6, maybe I'll just go through the rest of them. I've never beaten, was it 9 and 10? I think were the
Wii
later
games.
Yeah.
The
I
retro
did beat 11.
level.
Yeah. I thought those were pretty tough, 9 and 10. So
I guess
9 is actually one of my favorites. I think it has
362.
Yeah, I think on the 360.
I think so too. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was everywhere.
Are those available physically at all?
Yeah, on NES.
9 and 10.
Yeah, 9 and 10. You mean?
Not 9 and 10.
I have no idea. Yeah,
Maybe
I don't think they were physical. I think they were like kind of Xbox arcade
they were
style.
digital. Yeah,
But they got to be on. They've got to be on Steam still, though, or something, right?
Am I remembering correctly that one of those they even released in chunks, or am I misremembering? Thinking of a different game.
There was DLC for 10, I believe. Like,
Maybe
it was like an add-on, like to play as base and Proto Man.
I might have been thinking of
Proto
something
Man
else.
might have
Like,
been included by default.
I think my favorite thing about those games is that they modeled the box art in tradition with the original games.
Yeah.
So
I used that as a desktop background for so long. There was like a double wide one you could use it on like 2 monitors for
That's
Mega Man
great.
9. It was great.
that's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
Did they ever do a Legacy Collection 2 for Rockman
Yes.
that had like 7 through 10?
Yeah, but there's still no physical because it's it was that like one is on the cart and then it comes with a download.
2's a digital
they
download.
did that with all of them.
Yeah.
Man.
I thought you were going to say there's still no digital, there's still no physical because it's Mega Man. I was like, they don't seem to care too much about the Blue Bomber.
I mean, you could.
Although we are getting a new Mega Man game.
I mean,
Apparently.
could you? I mean, technically, physical on the Legacy Edition, right?
No, the first half of them are on the cart physically, but the second half are always a download code.
Even for like PlayStation.
I don't know. But that's
I
PlayStation,
think
so they're all download.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
it's probably true.
you put the disc in, and it's like you still have to download everything. Don't worry about it.
That's fair.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into Prices Retro. Yeah, let's do it. If this is your first time playing Prices Retro, here's how we play. We're going to list off, or I am going to list off 4 or 5 games, and everyone else has to guess how much the lot is worth in total. Whoever is closest to the actual value wins that round. Values are based on current price charting, so if you go and listen to an episode from 2 years ago, prices might be different. So it's just based on whatever it said at the time. Everyone has their own lists, and everyone guesses on each other's lists, and at the end, the player that won the most rounds wins the episode. But watch out for our Rampage crew. Our robot Deus Guess Machina averages all of our guesses together for his guess. Our dinosaur Leonard adds up the original retail costs of the games for his guess. And then our ghost Poltergeist, that name always gets me, always guesses 300. Good old Poltergeist. Never change, Poltergeist. Literally, he can't. Okay, so we have our guest here, Moses. He is going to also be guessing, and I believe he has brought his own list. So I think I'll shuffle this list around a little bit, and I'm going to start with me this time. Sometimes I like to go first sometimes. Okay. This is all Super Monkey Ball games, but there's you'll get the twist. You'll understand in a minute. Okay, so first one is Super Monkey Ball for N-Gage, complete in box. Second game is Sega Fun Pack, Sonic and the Secret Rings, and Monkey Ball Banana Blitz for the Wii. The next one is Super Monkey Ball 2-Pack for the GameCube, complete in box. And finally, Sonic Heroes and Super Monkey Ball Duo Pack for the GameCube, complete in box. And the first guess is John.
I'm going to go $225.
$225?
Or wait a minute.
Sorry, I didn't mean to give anything away with questioning.
Well, okay, hold on. You said the double pack on GameCube, right?
You want me to go through them again?
Yeah, go through them one more
I'll
time.
just list them off again. Okay, Super Monkey Ball and N-Gage. Sega Fun Pack, Sonic and the Secret Rings, and Monkey Ball Banana Blitz on Wii. These are all complete in box. Super Monkey Ball 2-pack on GameCube, Sonic Heroes, and Super Monkey Ball Duo Pack for GameCube. So there's 4. It's 2 different 2-packs.
I'll do $275.
All right. Uh-oh. I dragged things around on my browser, and now I'm lost. $275. Okay. And Moses, you get the next guess.
$2.75 and 1 cent.
Oh my God.
I've seen prices right.
All right. That's why we change who goes first. Okay, Shannon, your turn.
I have 230.
Okay.
And I have 199.
Okay, well, I don't know why I thought you guys would know more about the situation here with these 2-packs, but the total is $4,622.47.
So
The
does that mean that Poltergeist got it?
Poltergeist wins, yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. It's been a long time for...
Barely. Like, not even close, but also more than you guys, so...
Wow.
Okay,
Hey, I was
so-
only $3,700 off.
So I mean, you know, it's fine. That's how the game goes. I'll go through individual games here. Super Monkey Ball and Engage is a $22 whatever. Sega Fun Pack, Sonic and the Secret Rings, Monkey Ball Banana Blitz on Wii is $150. Super Monkey Ball 2-pack for GameCube is $600. Sonic Heroes and Super Monkey Ball Duo Pack for GameCube is $3,850.
How many of those are there out there?
So yeah, that's absolutely bananas.
So I have Monkey Ball 1 and 2. I just need the cardboard,
Pun
right?
intended. Literally, it's a sleeve that like goes over the 2 games, and if you have the paper sleeve, congratulations. Though I think the actual like
they're probably like
covers of the game don't have a barcode.
I was
or
gonna
something.
say they're probably not for resale on the back. or
So
something.
yeah, it's like a different cover. So, but as far as I know, the discs are just normal discs. But if you have that cardboard, that sweet cardboard,
Cardboard's king.
man, lottery winner right here. But
one day
yeah,
Nintendo Labo will be worth millions.
Yes,
you have,
I have all the Labo, including the little punch out pieces from whenever you're making it.
You never know when you use that
complete.
cardboard. Fire kindling. It's good stuff.
Complete.
Oh my God. All right. So sorry everyone. I don't know why I thought you guys would know about the 2-packs. Maybe I
knew some of them were a little valuable, but I kind of didn't know if you were trying to trick us because those didn't seem like ones that would be valuable.
I mean, they're Sonic games.
You tricked yourself, I think is what happened.
Yeah. I did. I increased my price after I.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you caught the vibe.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, you're gonna go ahead and do the next.
Okay. So my list are the last 4 games that I beat, and they're all complete in box. So the first game on my list is Super Bomberman. I went back and went through that game after they announced the collection. And that is, like I said, Super Nintendo complete in box.
Complete in box, okay.
And then the next game is Wario Land for the Virtual Boy, also complete in box. And then the next game is Revenge of the Savage Planet for PlayStation 5, complete in box. And then the last game is Zelda: The Phantom Hourglass for the Nintendo DS, complete in box.
And first guess, sorry, Moses, it's you.
Oh no, I can't do my trick.
No.
Okay, I'll do.
That's why we do this.
Yep. I'll do $4.50 and 1 cent.
$4.50 and 1 cent. Okay.
And then Shannon.
I think I'm undervaluing again, but I got $2.85.
Okay.
And Sam.
I've got 375.
I've got $3.50.
Okay. The total for my lot is $583.45.
I messed something up.
I was way off.
So,
although Moses won that one.
Yeah,
then.
Moses took that round.
Hey,
beginner's luck.
Yeah, the Dino only guessed 195, so he was good.
Yeah.
So the breakdown of my list, Super Bomberman complete, has gone up. It's $290.37.
Yeah,
that was more than my entire guess.
Yes. Wario Land for the Virtual Boy complete, $215.01 for Moses. The third game, Revenge of the Savage Planet. This is the day one edition. It's the only one that's physical. For the PlayStation 5, complete in box, $38.08. And Zelda Phantom Hourglass for Nintendo DS, complete in box, $39.99. So just about retail.
Yeah.
Sweet. That came down. I thought those were more expensive.
I think they used to be a little bit more expensive, but they've like never been 60. Like, they've never been crazy expensive.
No, but I thought they were more than retail. I don't know. All right, Moses, you got one. You can walk away victorious from this podcast.
See you guys.
That's all you came for. All right. And it's your list. It's your turn.
All right. I don't know if you guys regularly do this, but I'm going to give you 3 games, and they're all graded copies.
Okay.
Ooh.
Is that allowed?
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah? Okay. All right. They are Chrono Trigger, graded.
Now, hold on. What grade? Does it say the grade?
What grade? Yeah.
Does it say the grade? So I just went to graded, whatever that
price
is.
Price charting doesn't have.
I think price charting just goes
so
by
just average all graded together.
Yep.
Sold though, so that means like
graded and sold.
It only takes sold prices.
Yeah, I'd say it's still a pretty good mix. A lot of people want the lower valued ones because they can afford them.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so first one was Chrono Trigger, graded. Had to get Chrono in there.
Yep.
Second one is Earthbound, graded. The big bucks. That one's for you, Molly. And then this one's for Dan, Tecmo Secret of the Stars, graded.
Sweet.
Because you helped me find that one copy.
I did help you find that one copy. I have no attachment to that game whatsoever, but we have an attachment to it.
Yes, it's like an inside joke between just you and I.
Yes.
So. The thing that I love about that cart that I got too is the label's torn right across the word stars. So it just says secret of the on the label. That's perfect.
Yes.
What's the secret? We'll never know.
Nope.
You'll never, yeah.
Don't
look at the spine. Yep. Okay, so that's those 3 games graded. Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, Secret of the Stars.
Well, Shannon, you're going to rip the Band-Aid off here. I don't know where you're going to go because we don't usually do graded. Go for it.
All right, let's just go lucky number 8. Let's go $8,888.
Very good. And then Sam.
20,000. I don't know.
People got crazy money out there. My honest guess, Shannon, was 7,500. So I feel like we're catching some vibes here.
Mm-hmm.
And then John.
let's see, a graded big box Earthbound. I'm going to go 30.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Some of us are crazy. Somebody here.
Just completing box Earthbound breaks 1,000. I know
it's
that
like
much.
4,000.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right. The total is $27,482.54.
27 what?
Pain. $27,482.54. Ridiculous.
I was right there.
Yeah.
I was way closer to that one than Dan's.
You were pretty darn close.
Definitely by percent error, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think by actual too, it's only $3,000, right? So
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, by actual, yeah, because the answer was 4,000.
I think a part of me knew that it was going to be that high, but I didn't want to believe it. So I just.
Oh, and you guys want like the actual like standalone totals, right? So Secret of the Stars.
If you have them, yeah.
Yeah, Secret of the Stars graded is $13.25.98. Wow. Earthbound graded $7,857 even.
See, I wasn't even far off on that one.
Right.
Yeah. And the big cannoli itself, Chrono Trigger, $18,299.56.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to get lost in the factory level.
I almost think Chrono Trigger might be a rare find.
Understood that
complete.
reference. That's good. That's good.
If you're a regular listener to the show, you know what we're talking about.
Freaking Dan, man. Play the game.
Freaking factory levels. Ruining all my games. I'm just trying to play a video game.
You don't get stuck on the factory levels on like Donkey Kong Country 2, though. Come on.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
He graduated.
That literally is where I was stuck in Donkey Kong Country 1.
Yeah.
That was what I couldn't beat as a kid. Crimco.
Ditto. Yeah, that'll do too. Those damn factory levels, man, they'll get you. It's all that gray. All right, good stuff. Let's see. So John won that one, right?
Yep.
Like unequivocally. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Good stuff. Shannon, your list.
All right. I've got a list of 5 RPGs that you could say bend the genre just a little bit, but these are still what people would call RPGs. But they're RPGs that I don't hear people talk about enough. So the first one is Crystallis, I've heard it pronounced both ways, for the NES. Complete in box.
Ooh.
Yep. These are all going to be complete. Second one is Secret of Evermore for Super Nintendo. Third one, Skies of Arcadia Legends for GameCube. Complete. Fourth one is Radiant Historia on the DS. Complete. And the last one is Jade Empire for the Xbox.
I think I might actually know these. I think I might actually have a good... Sam, you're starting whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I think after that last one, I don't know the value of $1 anymore. So I've got a total in my head right now of 715. So I'm just going to go with that.
Okay. Mine is 550. And then, sorry, John.
I'm going to go 600.
And Moses.
I'm going to say $7.
Dollars?
Yeah. No,
And
700.
1 cent.
In 1 cent?
You got to get that 1 cent in there, yeah.
All right. And then, Shannon, go for it.
Yeah, so the actual value is $425.96. So I'm not sure who got that one.
Yeah, I got to wait on John on that.
Okay, so Let's see.
Would that be the ghost?
It might be the robot.
Yeah, I think it is the robot this time.
Because that's about in the middle of everybody's guesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have... let's see. Actually, no, it's not going to be the robot because we all guessed higher than the lot. Higher than. So actually, Dan wins.
Oh.
Hey.
Okay. I'll
Hooray
take
for
it.
Dan.
Yeah.
So
I was pretty confident going in, so it'd be weird. That wouldn't be that weird. Okay.
Oh, wait, we still have to do Sam's lot.
Yeah.
So far, the split is I've won, Dan's won, Moses is won, and the Ghost is won.
Darn it.
Well,
So my lot may decide it, or Shannon will win it, and we'll have a 4-way tie.
Yes,
right.
that is
A 5-way tie, actually.
if any of
I can't win, though.
if any of the bots win, then the Rampage crew wins.
Yes, because they have one win.
So, yeah. So
Their team.
let's just hope that Sam didn't do anything too crazy.
All right, so I'll break mine down real quick.
go for it.
Crystallis on the NES, 7363. I feel like that one might have gone down a little bit recently.
That seems a lot.
Second one was Secret of Evermore, which is an awesome RPG that nobody played. We talked about it briefly. I talked about it in our Game of the Year discussion. Was 150.68. Skies of Arcadia Legends, 147.76. Radiant Historia, 44.90, and Jade Empire, $8.99. Now, if you're thinking about Radiant Historia, they basically redid it and added some content on the 3DS, and that one's actually a little higher.
That's probably what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Crystallis was like way more.
I
think it was. I think it went down. I think that one's gone down.
All right, good stuff. Sam, it's your turn. Let's see how we...
Well, my theme is pretty similar to Shannon's. These are all RPGs, but they are all definitely genre blending kind of. Are they RPGs? I don't know. You decide. But there's 5 of them. They're all also games that I own. But they're all going to be complete in box. I don't own them complete in box. So first we have Power Quest for the Game Boy Color. And again, complete in box. Metal Walker, also for the Game Boy Color. Sigma Star Saga for the Game Boy Advance. Nights in the Nightmare for the Nintendo DS. And Choro Q for the PlayStation 2.
Now, I played Choro Q fairly recently, within the last year. That's like the Penny Racers stuff, right?
Yeah.
Under a different name? Okay. Just verifying that I know what we're talking about. Animal Crossing meets Gran Turismo. Okay.
It is an Atlas game.
The first guess is me, and my guess is 370.
We're like I keep changing my guess because you go first. You've been going before me, and we're like guessing the same thing.
And then I'm sorry, John.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go 375.
And Moses.
375.01.
Oh my God, John, you're screwed.
Sorry,
I got to be right on.
All right, Shannon.
I have 325.
Oh my gosh. All right.
We're either all pretty close or all really
or
off.
it's like 2,400.
Right.
You guys are pretty close. The total is $429.95.
Man, I undervalued.
So the 1 cent, the highest guess takes it.
That might be Moses, yeah, unless the robot beat us.
No, because he would be below. Your average would be lower.
The only one that had a chance was the Dino, but retail was only $236.
Man, all right, that 1 cent strategy got you, man. That's
there it is.
You know, that's
Jerk
the winning
moves,
stuff.
but yeah,
That's the
sacrifice everything to win. That's what my dad always told me.
If you ain't first, you're last. Is that the same vibe? Yeah.
So the breakdown is Power Quest for the Game Boy Color, $119.82. Metal Walker for the Game Boy Color, $159.64. Sigma Star Saga for the Game Boy Advance, $61.05. Knights in the Nightmare for the Nintendo DS, $73.59. And Chorokyu for the PS2, $15.85.
Shout out to Chorokyu. Surprisingly addicting little car sim game. I did pick up Penny Racers for the N64 after I sold all my PS2 stuff because I learned that it's basically the same thing. And I haven't yet to pop it in, but I plan on it. Moses, congrats, dude. Second time guest, first time winner.
Nice.
Let's go. Your prize is our eternal adoration.
Valueless. Actually, absolutely priceless right there.
Priceless. You can't win that. I mean, you can't buy it.
On that.
There's the difference between priceless and valueless.
I don't know. I said valueless at first, and I was like, that's not right.
But probably accurate.
Yeah, very accurate.
Yeah. I don't mean to say worthless. I mean, like, impossible to estimate its true value.
Can't put a price on it. Can't buy it.
Of inestimable value.
Sam, do you have a spot the fake this time, or was that?
I do if we have time for it. I kept it a little shorter this time, but I have fun making these.
We have fun doing them.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we have a new brain
three,
in the mix.
Three rounds. I'm sticking with I'm sticking with five per round. So this is spot the fake. So I'm going to name 5 things, and one of them is not real. At least it doesn't belong in this category. So the theme this time is enemies from the Kirby franchise.
Okay, let's go.
Yes.
So without further ado, we will go to round 1.
How well do you know Kirby, Moses?
Dude, I've got a Kirby tattoo right here.
It's not an RPG, so.
Round 1.
That's true.
Wait,
there's that one boss
that one
in
RPG
Great
mini
Cave.
game in Super Star Saga. So
yeah,
you never know.
There's that one boss in Great Cave Offensive that has the little menu pop up.
Full on Kirby RPG would get me so hard.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, let's go. Come on, Sakurai. What are you doing?
So anyway,
round Smash Brothers.
Round
Sorry,
1.
Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
Round 1, we have Cool Spook. Number 2, Mr. P. Umpkin. Number 3, Zuri. Number 4, Booler. And number 5, Mumbies.
We just get to shout out which one we think it is.
Yeah, we
pretty
can
much.
each have different opinions on this.
Spookty or whatever that first one was.
Cool Spook.
Cool Spook. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that one.
I think
Let's go with Mummies.
I'm gonna go the last
Mumbies.
one. What was the last?
Last one was Mumbies.
Mumbies, yeah.
That's what I was
That's
going
what
with.
I'm going for.
I think I'm with Moses on this one. The Cool Spook feels a little too not weird.
It was the way you said it too. You're like Cool Spook, and I was like, oh come on.
Well, he's not just a regular spook. He's
It's
like
a Cool Spook.
Yeah. Well, Cool Spook is real, so too bad for you. He's a ghost wearing sunglasses. These are all kind of spoopy enemies. Yeah, the fake was Zuri, and actually the fakes. I'll give it away now since I already fooled you once. The fakes in each round are actually enemies from Kid Icarus.
Oh, come on.
That is a ghost enemy from Kid Icarus.
Okay,
Nice.
Wow.
So
I wonder if anyone listening got that. If you got that right, DM
I
me.
know somebody who did.
without further ado, round 2.
That's true.
We have round 2, number 1, Bumble Drop. Number 2, Hurley. Number 3, Magoo. Number 4, Glunk. And number 5, Jack.
I'm going with
You
going
Glunk.
with the Magoo.
mispronunciation thing. Yeah, Magook. You did it again.
Yeah.
Magoo.
Yeah.
That's what.
Sorry, I literally don't know how to pronounce it. So
No, and that's
I
fair.
give two
I was like, wait,
pronunciations.
that's the one
Yeah.
that sounds made up.
They're
Magook.
playing the meta game.
That's right. We're
Yeah.
trying.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, though, like
Yeah.
none of these are made up.
I know.
Right.
They're just coming from other games.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going Hurley on this one because it's a Weezer album.
I'm going to Glunk.
So one vote for Hurley, one for Glunk.
Yeah.
And then
The other two of us, we went for the Magoo one.
Oh, Magoo.
Yeah.
That's right. Gotcha. So again, the fake is Bumble Drop.
oh my gosh,
That's the
Wow.
Kid Icarus enemy.
Bumble.
The Glunk is the one that I actually would like immediately recognize. It's those little like anemone guys that are in all the
Right.
levels.
I just didn't know what they're
Um,
called.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. You gotta pay attention to the cast of characters when you beat the game. It's like the only way you learn these.
You got to
If-
read that manual,
If they're
man.
correct,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, read manual.
Sometimes they're not, yeah. There's usually at least a few of them where they definitely did not consult anyone
See-
before like transliterating the Japanese and they just mix up
Kirby
the R's
games-
and L's.
I mean, Mario
Do
2
Kirby
taught us
games-
that.
Yeah. Do Kirby games do the thing that Rare games do, where they give you like the credits at the end, where it's all the names of the enemies?
Oh yeah, the Mario World thing.
Yeah, that thing too. Yeah.
I know a lot of games did that. Back
It started
in
in
the day.
Mario, Super Mario Brothers 2, or
Okay,
Super
whatever.
Mario
I
Brothers
don't-
USA.
Whatever.
Because of that, yeah.
To me,
That
it's the
one's
Donkey Kong
incorrect.
Country thing.
All right, so I have one final round. This is
all
your
right, let's see
last
if we get
chance to redeem yourselves.
Let's go, team.
Prove your Kirby knowledge.
Gosh, we haven't got a single one right. We got to do
That's
this.
true. That's
There's
true.
5 of or 4 of
Oh
us.
yeah, I know.
We got
Could
to all
just
do
all-
something
you
different.
could all guess
we gotta
something
guess
different.
Yeah.
All right, round 3, final round. Number 1, Floaty the Drifter. Number 2, Rolling Turtle Jr. Number 3, Dangle Sloth. Number 4, Giant Schnoz. And number 5, Komedo.
Lord, help me.
What was
Giant
the third one you
schnoz.
said?
Giant
The
schnoz.
third one was Dangle Sloth.
See,
Sorry,
I'm trying to play a
Dangle
different.
Sloth.
I'm trying to play the spot the wheel as if it were. Which one of those sounds like it would be a Kid Icarus one? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not getting any other way. So I'm going to go with that one, the third one then.
I'm not going with Dangle
One vote.
Sloth. There's no
Dangle
sloths in Kid Icarus.
One vote for Dangle
I don't remember
Sloth.
any sloths,
There's no
in
sloths
Kirby.
in Kirby either. What are you doing?
There might be.
So if it's
Or
just
are
an
there?
enemy that like it's just like
Has
an
to be
enemy
in
that
one of
hangs
them.
down or something, they're like, yeah, it's a sloth.
I'll go through and get one real quick. Just
Floaty the Drifter, Rolling Turtle Jr., Dangle Sloth, Giant Schnoz, Komedo.
I'm going with Rolling Turtle Jr.
Schnoz.
I'll go
Okay.
floaty.
Floaty the Drifter.
Yeah.
So if you want to guess something different, that just leaves Giant Schnoz and Komedo.
Those sound like they could be. Well, didn't somebody say Giant Schnoz?
Yeah, I got Schnoz.
Oh,
He's
you
got the
you voted.
Schnoz.
So that's everybody.
Yeah.
Yep, we just have
Good on
Komedo.
Schnoz.
Well, the fake one was the Komedo.
Oh gosh,
Come on.
Oh man.
every single one.
So that's a fun bit of trivia, actually,
Diabolical, Sam.
from Kid Icarus. The Komedo is the Kid Icarus enemy that looks exactly like a Metroid.
Oh,
How about that?
Huh.
I think the only enemy that anyone knows from Kid Icarus is the Eggplant Wizard.
Yep.
Yep.
No, what about the Speck Nose?
No,
I don't know what
Nope.
that is.
Oh,
Nobody knows
I'm
anything.
the only person who plays Kid Icarus. What about Pythagoras? He's a boss in Myths and Monsters. He shoots triangles.
I don't know any of their names though.
Well, clearly,
Well
people
played.
need to play
Well
Kid
played.
Icarus and
Good
Kirby.
game. I like this game because it makes you feel dumb. That's good. Very good. Thank you, Sam, for confusing us and bewildering us per usual. We're gonna take a really quick break, and when we get back, I'm gonna have another Pepsi, and we're gonna do our genre topic. Our topic, which is genre. with Moses, and then we'll hang out. We'll have some fun. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are still here. I got my Pepsi and I put a little lime in it because they don't make the lime cola anymore. I miss the cola with the lime mixture, so I make my own. That's what I did while we were gone. Everybody else just sat around and talked about stuff. But we're going to talk about genre now. So it's pretty broad, but we're going to kind of narrow it down a little bit because Moses has done a lot of work and research, mostly RPGs and stuff like that, and like that can be such a wide net, to catch games in. So I'm gonna try to narrow it down. We have some talking points here, and Sam, I know that you put the notes together, so I'm gonna throw it to you to start us off, and then we can all kind of chime in as things pop up. So what did you want to start with here?
Yeah, well, the notes are really just kind of various launch pads we might take to kind of get into the meat of the subject. We definitely don't have to cover everything. This was just me kind of pinning some ideas to a bulletin board or so to speak. For sure. I think to start though, since we've got Moses here, who's spent a lot of time thinking about what is and is not an RPG, and been a part of a lot of discussions on that. Kind of share what conclusions he's come to, why that is.
Yeah, I appreciate this discussion very much. A couple broad takeaways are one, people get really triggered when you talk about genre for some reason.
Yeah.
Like they get furious, which I think is really interesting. I don't know why that is psychologically, but it's an interesting, pretty common phenomena to note. Another thing as a kind of broad point is the usefulness of genre. If categorization is useful, then we ought to pursue it as an end in and of itself, I believe. Can you definitively define things? Can you have real genre is a question that I've struggled with a lot. And people I've talked with have struggled with as well. So that was kind of the thrust of this whole research that I've done. For those that aren't aware, I spent about 3 years writing a book called The Definitive Book of SNES RPGs Volume 1, not SNES. Don't let me catch you saying SNES. People who say SNES, I can't stand it.
There's a Z on the end? What are we doing?
Yeah. I think that somebody told me that's British. I was like, all right, well, they can say it however they like. But SNES RPGs Volume 1. So there's Volume 2 coming. But all of that research, a lot of it was, first compile a list of RPGs. Do I include Super Famicom RPGs? No, I wound up not doing so because there's over 100, and many of them do not have fans translations, never mind official translations. So I stuck to just Super Nintendo, no Famicom. It's about 46, 47 by my estimation. But one of the points of the book was to not just kind of provide essays and thoughts on these games and ask what they're about, what they mean, but also kind of ask the question of what is an RPG. So I did spend a lot of time thinking about how do you classify things? How do you categorize genre? I have met quite a few people who have said, well, you can't. And to me, it's like it goes back to the tried and true, is Zelda an RPG discussion that everybody loves to have, right? Yeah.
Where do you land on that?
So personally, yeah, spoilers. I land on it. I belly flop on that crap. I think the majority of Zelda games are action adventure, and I think Zelda 2 is an action RPG.
I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Can I jump in here really quick, because I have an interesting thought that goes back a long ways with me and RPGs, which is that, and I agree with you, by the way, on Zelda games, which is the idea that before RPGs, a game was something that you required sort of, some kind of, it was some kind of there was some kind of skill you had to learn to play the game. And I'm not saying that RPGs don't require skill, but what I'm saying is that a role-playing game then doesn't become about learning to sword fight. It's about statistics, and it's about almost like math, and it's about playing the role of the character, which then the game then just becomes sort of not a skill-based game, but a statistics-based game almost, or a stats-based game.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to Dungeons and Dragons, where it's literally a dice roll. You're not fighting a goblin, you're not learning anything new skill-wise, which can be argued. It's not a skill in the traditional sense, but it is sort of a story has been placed before you, and you have to experience the story as a character. So in D&D, you're rolling dice and you're poking around, but you're not physically playing a game, and you're not doing anything twitchy like in a platformer. So when I think of RPGs, the first thing I think is I'm playing Final Fantasy VII, and I'm managing my team, I'm managing stats, but I'm not sword fighting like I am in Red Steel.
Right.
I'm not sword fighting. I'm literally saying, Cloud, you attack this guy, and then Tifa, you do your Phoenix down for Barrett, and you're telling them what to do, and that's more of a decision-making game than it is a physical game. I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but that's kind of how it broke down for me, RPG wise.
You're spot on. A good question is, where's the math? When you're playing something, and you're unsure if it's an RPG or not. You mentioned dice rolls. You mentioned D&D.
How much of my physical doing a thing is required to make the game successful, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of that might be flexible, once you get into action RPGs, right? Because there's a bit more kind of required from you in terms of skill and timing and reflex and stuff like that. I played Bloodborne last year. Holy smokes, does that demand things from you that are wildly different from, say, playing Final Fantasy VI.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're on the right track there. Let me throw this out to the lot of you. What do you think is the difference between Dragon Quest 1 and King's Quest 1?
Oh, what? Somebody have to break down King's Quest for me.
Yeah, King's Quest classic, Sierra point and click
computer RPG,
adventure game. Yeah. Both have a story, both have a hero, both have item acquisition. I believe there's a spell in King's Quest 1. You progress, you explore, you navigate, there's NPCs. So what is the core difference between those two games? If you guys remember King's Quest at all, otherwise I can use a different.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with King's Quest.
Oh, okay, I'm a huge King's Quest fan. So
I only have a passing awareness of.
Is there a game? Is there a game that we might?
Yeah. We could do. Sometimes I'll throw this out. Just Zelda 1, Zelda 2. What's the key difference between Zelda 1 and Zelda 2? There's several, but I think there's a really key difference in terms of this context.
Mechanically, they're both different, but in Zelda 2, you actually gain levels to your attack and magic, and those types of things, which there are experience points, which I guess is on a broad sense a RPG type, mechanics.
Can you think of any other mechanic that is unique to RPGs other than that?
Yeah, not in like the modern sense.
No, I mean that requires you to already have a pretty firm sense of what an RPG is.
Right.
So that's
we could name a few things, right? Like, so somebody, I've met a guy who said an RPG is any game with a sword in it, and it's like, okay, we know we could throw that out, right?
Yeah.
How about exploration? Some people will say any game in which you explore is an RPG. Does that make sense? Any game in which there's a story is an RPG. I've been told.
To me,
it doesn't make sense.
To me, it's really about those. It's about leveling up certain aspects of your character.
Yeah.
And to me, it's you're given a choice in that matter.
Yeah.
So it's not just you got to the end of this level, you got enough points, and so now you're just stronger, right? Like there has to be some. But then, as I say that, I think, well, you don't get that in Dragon Quest.
Nope.
You get some in some Dragon Quest. You get that with the job systems and stuff. But
I see what you mean in terms of.
But like in Dragon Quest 1,
you don't get to distribute your stats.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But you don't really get that in like Dragon Quest 1 or 2.
Right.
So
that's why I think Dragon Quest is a really interesting. Yeah, I think Dragon Quest 1 is a really interesting example because there's no party.
Right.
You're just playing as one dude. A lot of people I've met will be like, it's a game. It has to have a party. And I'm like, I don't think Dragon Quest doesn't count as an RPG.
And you can't deny that Dragon Quest is
exactly
is an RPG, right? And so
any definition that arrives at Dragon Quest is not an RPG, you're gonna have to dispense with.
Yeah, that's true.
I think part of it. I think part of it is the turn-based battles, and I think a lot of how I think about RPGs is there has to be some sort of decision making happening, which we lose a lot.
With respect to character progression, decisions based on character progression,
character progression, or even story progression. Because when you go back to the basics of how we got a role-playing game like D&D, as Dan mentioned, D&D is all about decision making. You're either making a decision of what your character is going to do, you make decisions that drive story beats. You do gain levels in Dungeons and Dragons, but I mean, like the big thing is that you're role-playing a character that you're making conscious decisions.
And John makes an important distinction about turn-based RPGs, where like I could see a purist being like, well, if it's not turn-based, then it's not role-playing, because if I'm pressing a button at a certain time or interval to do an action, that's no longer playing a role. Now I'm doing the action.
Right. That's how we separate it off to action
exact
RPG.
Person.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
yeah, that exact person exists. Like, so you will meet people who will say JRPGs aren't RPGs, action RPGs aren't RPGs. Pretty much anything that isn't a Western turn-based RPG. I've had people tell me dungeon crawlers aren't, roguelites aren't,
insane.
On and on and on.
So then what's left?
Right, exactly. So what I tried to do with this book, and it's a fairly controversial list in some titles, but what I try to do with this book is be inclusive enough to recognize where developers were playing around with hybridizing the core RPG mechanic, which is everything you guys just discussed and unpacked. I think that's what role-playing is in a computer game. It is that aspect of building a character intrinsically, is a word that I use a lot, internally, rather than say, what's the difference between Link in Zelda 2 getting a level up and his stats go up versus Link picking up a heart container off the ground in Zelda 1. Well, one is extrinsic and one is intrinsic. It's the same thing with Super Mario. Like, and sometimes I've gone, you'll meet these people who will say any game in which you play a role is an RPG. Therefore, Zelda is. And I'll be like, okay, then my favorite RPG is Super Mario Brothers 3. And they'll be like, great. And I'm like, congratulations, you just destroyed the term. Yeah, like, if it means everything, it means nothing.
I think there's a certain getting hung up on the word, which I think we can acknowledge is ultimately a holdover from the fact that these games, especially the early ones, were and not even just Dragon Quest, but stuff like Wizardry was very much inspired by Dungeons and Dragons, where you can actually more easily tell there what the actual role play element is. And interestingly enough, I think when adapting that to video games, the role play element was actually minimized.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So the video game version is what's left.
Yeah. And then furthermore, the JRPG strain of tradition makes that even smoother and more kind of linear than it is in the CRPG tradition. So, for example, I just played Wizardry 5.
CRPG is what now?
So it's the Western RPG, basically. Okay. It means computer RPG, which is what they all are. So I really hate that term personally. Some people will be like, "Oh yeah."
Probably the most frustrating thing about genre discussion is the words we have for it that are in common use aren't very good.
Oh, and they're inadequate any longer. Yeah, a computer RPG,
and that's why
it's just what we have.
Yeah. That's another reason why I wrote this book, because I think the more times people discuss these things and new terms come out, new ways of thinking about these genres, then 30 years down the road, we're not going to be just saying, oh, that's Metroidvania and that's Metroidvania, but it's like Hollow Knight and Symphony of the Night, which are clearly one's an RPG and one's an adventure game, but we're using the same term, Or worse, people use the term retro. That just means like 10 years, older or more. Eventually.
Thank you, Retronauts.
Lord, man, Moses, that gets me the most. I'll freak out if somebody starts talking to me about retro, because I'm like, it's literally a subjective term that means like this is cool because it's old. That's beginning to end what retro means. So time doesn't matter. Like, it literally is a feeling. So. Sorry, I gotta bleep that out now.
I just had a great flashback to when Dan was on my old show, Magecast. I think it was the Symphony of the Night episode.
I wouldn't have been that.
Maybe no, it would have been something else. Donkey Kong,
definitely not.
Might have been. Yeah.
Did you do a Donkey Kong episode? I would have been on that.
Yeah, it might have been on that one. It was a group episode, but anyway, toward the end, we were just kind of joking around. And I was like, as a reminder, Dan, no swears, you got to put the kids to bed. And you're like, yeah, fucking kids to bed. Like, we're just like slayed.
Definitely wasn't a Chrono Trigger episode.
No, it wasn't a Chrono Trigger
episode. There's something that was touched on earlier where sometimes people are like incredibly expansive with their definition, and sometimes people are incredibly specific with their definition. And I think that really does come to like what the usefulness of genre is. And I mean, certainly there's a like broad intellectual satisfaction of like being able to just like put your finger on like, this is the thing. And now something makes sense that didn't before. But I think in terms of like just basic utility, I think what we're attempting to do in like giving a game a genre, especially because a lot of this is ultimately down to marketing, is to help people find things that are like a game they already like. Right. And you want to be more broad than basically it's in the same series. Like if you're like, I want to know what other games are like Final Fantasy, and the obvious answer is like Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3. But like, okay, well, besides that, but then there's also the fact that if you're really broad, and I think this is where the RPG has been kind of like a problem label for me, just because of my taste being maybe a little eclectic, is that more so than maybe any other genre, I've found that there are very well-regarded RPGs that I just don't really click with. Mm-hmm. I can't, like, I like platformers, and most platformers that are, you know, widely held in high regard critically, recommended by lots of people, I'm going to like some more than others, but I'm going to like most of them. Whereas there's been quite a few RPGs where I'm like, people love this, but I almost feel like it's gotten too broad in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think about the fact that like what's the thing about an RPG that I like? Because I really like stat tracking. I like that if I find something that's too difficult, I'm not banging my head against a wall. I can like go grind and come back, and now it's easier. And all of that makes me like RPGs. Now, some RPGs scale, and then you're like, well, why am I even... What's the point of the stats, even if it's all going to scale with me? That hurts my brain. Then I'm like, this isn't even an RPG. What are we doing? But that's a personal problem. But that brings up an interesting point about like, yeah, like I want to play an RPG, but like, how do I know what kind? And the point of it almost gets lost at that point.
Dan's like, I think I want to play this RPG, but does it have a factory in it?
Factory.
No.
I'm out.
Scaling enemies in factories?
Yeah, we need to do subgenre for Dan, the factoryless RPG.
Yes.
Love it.
I mean, at least with games we're not to the point where music is, where there's, you know, you name it as a genre. You know,
shoegaze,
mud puddle is a. We
do have the same problem with indie being a genre, which doesn't make sense in either case.
Yeah,
that's
Indie's
the opposite,
a category,
though.
Not a genre.
Yeah, that's how broad it gets.
I think something really interesting, talking about like modern genre, like some of the most recent genres that have popped up in gaming, at least like a MOBA or like a roguelike, where it's like, what is this named after? You know, I know MOBA is an acronym.
Roguelike is named after rogue.
Roguelike's been around.
But it's literally, no, I'm just saying it's funny how we have these terms. We all know what they mean, but like it's named after a video game.
Some people don't know what they mean, though, and it cracks me up.
Too.
Yeah. The rogue stuff is interesting, too, because it was like, at one point, they're like, okay, we need to have a meeting about this. And they sat down and were like, this is exactly what like a roguelike is. Yeah. And then... as far as I know, that's the only time anybody ever did that.
Some people were very intent on dying on the hill of roguelike versus roguelite. I think the roguelites won because everything's a roguelite now.
Exactly.
Nothing.
I'm glad that we have
much
that.
Like Rogue.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have that distinction because I actually don't care for roguelikes that much, but I like roguelites a lot more. I think roguelikes can be really punishing.
What broke me was when I realized that Banjo-Kazooie is a roguelike.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that.
No, sorry. No.
Wait, what?
No. Sorry, I said Banjo-Kazooie is a Metroidvania.
We came to that conclusion on this show one time.
Absolutely is. I'll die on that hill now.
I could believe that. I was like, roguelike, okay.
I was like, huh.
And Moses is going back to this having a sword being an RPG for a minute.
Right.
Too much genre talk. Oh, I know, right?
It's got a bear in it. It must be a roguelike.
And I think in defense of that like narrower scope, I think from the perspective of like if I'm designing an RPG for RPG fans, like I might really focus in on like it's got to have everything people are going to want to expect. So then I might think, yeah, we have to have turn-based combat, and we have to have a fantasy setting, and it has to have multiple dragons in it, or else, you know, it's not gonna do what we want to do with it.
Sounds good to me. I'll play it.
Yeah, you know, but at the same time, like I think there's a pretty wide sense in which we're like, okay, there's been very similar games that have broken whatever rules we try to place around that on all the times. But I did want to kind of step back into like wider focus of like trying to understand how genre functions in games because it gets really confusing. when you start to think about other genres and what defines them, because it seems to me that there's other genres are not defined the same way. And again, it's because this is just a mess of people use the word and there's a like sort of understood meaning behind it, but it's kind of vague and it generally gets broader in meaning over time. And then what are we talking about anymore? And I think one that I think is particularly interesting when you think about like things like setting, because I think a genre that almost has to be defined by setting is the horror genre. Because if you make a horror game not scary, is it just a stealth game? Is it still a horror game if it's not scary
Luigi's
at all?
Yeah, I was going to say Luigi's Mansion. Is that a horror game?
Well, Sam brings up an interesting point that my brain goes to how much of video game like pantheon of genre is borrowed from film, and then how much of it is informed by what you're doing in the game, because that's something that can't be informed by film. Like you're not doing a film.
The mechanic.
So a platformer film isn't a thing, right?
I think horror film probably the only one.
An action film is, and an adventure film, arguably, you know? Mm-hmm. So depending on, but there's not going to be like, you know, sci-fi isn't a video game genre. It's just a setting in a video game. It's a first-person shooter, you know? Because that's the freaking how you play the game. So I think that is also a really interesting angle to come in at.
Well, yeah, and at that point, it's like we could try to define that, but then we find that's maybe not very helpful when we're talking about games to say, now we have a Western genre of games, and that includes, you know, Red Dead Redemption and Wild Arms and Harvest Moon.
Right. I've never actually heard somebody say, like, use Western in that terms. It's interesting that you mentioned Westerns because I'm actually on a huge Western film kick right now. Watching a bunch of John Ford and Sergio Leone and stuff like that. The spaghettis, the neo-Westerns, all that.
Yeah.
And they have a lot in common. Harvest Moon, Red Dead Redemption, and Wild Arms have like almost nothing in common other than a setting. Now, a couple thoughts on that is that I think generally we don't use setting as a genre in video games. Like you could say Final Fantasy VIII is a rom-com, but nobody says that. You could say that I've called Earthbound a horror game, but it's not a survival horror game. Survival horror is the mechanic that we use to generate the genre.
I'm sure whenever Doom came out, it was probably considered a horror game of
it's horror in setting for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's interesting how when you do games, you have to qualify. It's like, this isn't just a horror game. It's a horror platformer. This is a horror RPG. You're right. This is a horror. This is survival horror.
Is there a horror RPG out there?
Sweet Home, I think we'd classify.
Isn't Kodelka kind of?
Yeah. I've called Earthbound a horror RPG. There's lots of horror in Earthbound.
What about something like Uninvited or something like that?
Yeah.
I haven't played it. I don't know. Another interesting anecdote is somebody once told me, this guy was a developer. He said, video game genre just depends on where we place the camera. And I thought that was really interesting. What is a 2D platformer? Well, you look at it sideways. What's a 3D platformer? Well, you look at it behind the character. What's a third-person shooter? What's a first-person shooter? What's a top-down adventure game? What's a top-down RPG? What's a first-person dungeon crawler? I don't think it's true 100% across the board.
No, but that's just another qualifier. Like, you could have a first-person platformer Western video game. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm very tongue-in-cheek when I say it, but I often say Portal is my favorite first-person shooter. Yeah. Precisely because that probably isn't what people are imagining when they say first-person shooter.
Yeah, it's a first-person shooter puzzle game.
When I say my favorite horror game is Luigi's Mansion, like it's a horror setting, but it's not like spooky horror, you know.
Spooky.
Spoopy.
I don't think anybody would be mad at you for calling Luigi's Mansion a horror game.
No,
I think
I haven't met that
haha.
person yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably exist.
I think there
know.
is, and I know maybe you'll push back on me on this, Moses, because you've made it very clear Chrono Trigger is your favorite Final Fantasy, and I think it's a similar thing like that, to where I can see why you'd think that, why you'd include it in that category. But
Right.
if I ask you what's your Final Fantasy, I'm probably expecting to hear a number.
Yes.
And then you say Chrono Trigger, I'm like, oh, I wasn't thinking of Chrono Trigger.
Even though there are 300 Final Fantasy games and only 16 of them are numbered, well, plus the sequels. So what, you've got 18 numbered out of 300. So statistically, probability-wise, if we're looking at the whole franchise, you may get a non-numbered, because there are more non-numbered Final Fantasies than there are numbered. So what you going to do about that, number 3?
Crystal Chronicles.
Crystal Chronicles.
Shannon's favorite is Mystic
Actually,
Quest.
my favorite,
Mystic
I have
Quest,
to say,
yes, absolutely.
yeah, I always have to say this. My favorite Final Fantasy, numerical Final Fantasy, is 6. My favorite Final Fantasy with Final Fantasy in the title is Final Fantasy Tactics. And my favorite Final Fantasy is Chrono Trigger. There you go. Just on down the list.
Man, and then there's sports games.
Sports games are easy.
Oh.
They're sports.
Well, and in a lot of ways, that's
Sports
back to like
But then there are
theming and
arcade
setting.
sports. There's
And
like arcade.
There's sport RPG games
Well,
too.
Yeah.
I'm saying sports
absolutely.
are usually pretty easy. They're all sports, and then they usually fall either under arcade or simulation.
Yeah.
You might have to ask what is a sport, but generally they're going to be based on your football, tennis,
So
golf.
yes.
Final Fantasy X is my favorite sports game.
Well, and
Has
even
been
that
fun.
one though,
Yeah.
like
I could buy
there's
it.
is racing its own category, or is that just a particular type of sport?
Racing
Is
could also be considered a sport.
Rocket League a sports game, or is it some racing?
It's definitely not a racing game.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So here's
Mario
here's
Kart
an
game.
interesting thought, which when we were talking about RPGs, I think it was Dan. You went to how we got the term role playing from the original thing, right? So we're trying to use a term that has a historical basis. So I think the best you could do with all of these genres and subgenres is try and find their historical basis and be as closely attached to that as possible, unless you can trace a line of evolution, which is going to be necessary for subgenres.
I would say it's important to keep any kind of modern vernacular in mind too, because RPG has evolved a lot. Platformer has evolved a lot,
Right.
So
I think it's still a platformer is still moving from platform to platform, and I think an RPG is still, that core intrinsic character progression. But how
there
it's
were people.
dressed.
There were
is
people
different.
saying Bonanza was not a platformer because there's very little actual platforming in that game. It's mostly digging and throwing.
I mean,
There's a
there's
lot of
still
climbing.
Yeah, there's a lot of climbing and jumping.
That's
I'm not saying I'm saying this. I'm
Right,
saying
right.
it has been said, and I disagree.
Now, if you put it side by side with like Odyssey, it's
Well, that's what people were. That's the game that it gets most compared to,
Well,
and I'm
yeah.
like, well, you're wrong already. Like,
but it's still a
Odyssey's not even
platformer.
on the same. Yeah, but
Well,
it's
I
just
think for
funny
me,
how people can go back to that thing of like, it's not a platformer because there's no platforms. It's like, well,
And that's what they all sound like. They all sound
It's
like
getting hung
it's
up
your
on the word
platformer
again.
because they ain't no platformer. Yeah, they all sound like that.
crocky.
I think that's getting hung up on the word again. Where
It's 'cause they're down under.
it's just like saying you have to play a role for it to be a role playing game.
I mean, in Bonanza, you could just make your own platform. You just rip a
what I'm
piece of the
saying,
ground out and jump off of it.
Telling you, man.
Yeah, and
I
with
think
role playing game and that term role playing, I think the role playing is that mechanic, right? So like,
Yeah.
you are role playing in that you're intrinsically growing that character in a way that's different from Zelda 1 or Mario 3 or King's Quest. Because again, I asked you folks, and I really want to know, and I asked these questions because I want to know if you can think of a unique trait to RPGs, we've got all these RPGs in front of us. We know they're RPGs, Dragon Warrior 1, on and on. But if you could think of a unique mechanic in that, beyond that core progression of a character, then I would love to know what that is, because I've spent the past almost half a decade trying to figure that out. And I don't know that there is one.
The only one you get to name your character.
I like,
but then Zelda's an RPG
you've got
again.
some of that.
Yeah, but anybody that anyone that names Link anything other than Link is just wrong.
Yeah,
you gotta name him. You gotta do a playthrough where he's named My Dude,
then he
just makes everybody a really chill guy. Moses, you've said something in the past that I really like, when you talk about the difference between Zelda 1, Zelda 2, where it's like, well, Link can get hearts, and that's progression. It's like, yeah, and Mario can get bigger. Right. It's like, that's literally the same thing.
I've heard people
Link can get 15 hearts, but that's just getting bigger. That's not stats.
I've heard people call the super mushroom HP, and I was like, no.
It is.
Yeah,
you go from 1 to 2.
It's not the
So,
same thing.
to me,
functionally... Go ahead.
I was going to say, to me, the important difference there is that a mushroom's not permanent. Now, there is also the significance of this being an item you have to find. You can't, you don't gain a level.
Right.
You don't get bigger by stomping so many Goombas in a row.
Intrinsic versus extrinsic.
Same thing with
Well, you say intrinsic versus extrinsic. So maybe to clarify what you mean by that, because I'm very focused on like the actual mechanical gameplay. I would love for genre to be like defined entirely by that. I think I've already been forced to acknowledge it just isn't in practice. I'm not going to convince everybody to create adopt one like whole scheme that defines it entirely by gameplay, because we're going to have, horror fans who want horror games that aren't going to define it that way.
Here's a thought that I'm just having, and I don't know if you guys can think of a difference here, but so when you're playing Zelda, you can do a run of Zelda where you only ever have 3 hearts, where you never collect any more hearts. Can you do a run in like a Final Fantasy or a traditional RPG where you don't gain stats without some kind of like bug or whatever?
Because you could do a low level run.
Or you just don't. You avoid as many.
Yeah. Octopath Traveler 0 actually has a statue that if you place it in your town will keep you from gaining experience points.
Okay, sure.
For people who just want to do the challenge.
But I guess
the difficulty with that though is there's 100 million different RPGs, and they're all from different traditions and studios, and they're fused with other genres and things like that all the time. I mean, on this list of Super Nintendo RPGs, like there are some that are like 5 different genres at the same time, and it's amazing that they were able to figure that out. But it really makes it difficult to try to categorize it. But where it is difficult, my tendency is to lean toward inclusion rather than exclusion.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's important, too, for the industry as a whole to continue to evolve things like that and to combine things and see what works and what doesn't work. I come back to Rocket League and be like, that shouldn't have worked, but here we are.
Right, yeah. You can't combine a racing game and a sports game at the same time.
I joked earlier about Chrono Q, which is like literally, it's a little town. Or what is
Choro Q.
Choro Q, yeah.
He's getting Chrono Trigger on the brain.
How did Chrono Trigger get on the brain? There's no factory in that game. Choro Q, where it's a sim racer, like kind of to its core, and there are like elements that you can upgrade about your car very like meticulously. Also, when you go to your house, there's like a little town you drive around and you can upgrade your shops and you can design stuff, and it's like, this is Animal Crossing Gran Turismo, but like there it is,
So one other thing that I was thinking of earlier and then got sidetracked was when it comes to progression, is the difference important between say gaining experience points, leveling up your character, and maybe that's executed in a way where you earn skill points when you level up and you spend them on a skill tree, versus earning money and using it to purchase upgrades if they function the same within the game. Because that's really just a difference of context within the game world as how it's presented.
What you're thinking of is a question that keeps me up at night. Vagrant Story. Is Vagrant Story an RPG? Everything's attached to equipment. Is Monster Hunter an RPG? It's frequently categorized as such, but all of its stats and progression are tied to armor. Now, I think that there's a line of thinking there that I haven't fully gotten down on paper yet, and I was planning it for my volume 2. But there's not a whole lot of this sort of thing on the Super Nintendo, so fortunately I don't have to worry about it too much yet. But that's this idea of how far can you tease out that thought of character progression that's intrinsic before you run into these really fringe cases. And by acknowledging them as fringe cases, are we acknowledging that there's a standard against which they are the fringe, right? Like, I don't think most RPGs are not like Vagrant Story. Most action RPGs are not like Monster Hunter. Some of them are, but again, there's like 100,000, right? So I think, and this might help you, Mole. I know you and I have gone back and forth talking about this. Your frustrations with genre might just be, think about genre as a kind of standard that exists for the standard, but there's going to be so much creativity in 50 years of this industry that somebody's going to come up with something that is on the very, very, very fringe of what that normal standard definition is. That doesn't mean that the normal standard definition isn't there. In fact, that normal standard definition might help us to better understand the fringe or the extreme. I think about C.S. Lewis, who was like, we can't understand the crooked line unless we know what's straight, right? And so in the same way, how do we think of these weird kind of questions, right? Like what you just asked, and I came up with these few titles that I can think of, unless we know that there's a straight line in a sense, if that makes sense.
So Dragon Warrior is the straight line.
Dragon Warrior would be pretty close to the straight line, I'd say, for JRPGs.
That's the bar, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I think early Ultima, early Wizardry, the legs of the CRPG tradition, which are kind of lost, sadly. I was going to mention this earlier that I played Wizardry 5 on Super Nintendo, and it is shocking. Coming off of, like, I was playing a JRPG before it. I think it was I don't remember what it was exactly, but a JRPG is really smooth. It's really character focused. It's really got a story. And then you play Wizardry 5 and it's nothing but dungeon and
it's
death.
Number, yeah.
It's very numbery. I accidentally teleported my entire party into a stone wall and wiped them. And I was near the end of the game, and I was like, no, Game Genie time. So it's a completely different experience, but the core mechanics are where the similarity lies.
Yeah.
Well, then you have stuff like Phantasy Star that's a blend of both.
Yeah.
You have the dungeon crawler aspect where it goes to like a first person, feels very wizardry-like, but then whenever you go into battles, it's, more Dragon Warrior-like.
I'm looking at this NES color guide that you provided for us. Well, no, and what I'm coming away with is
the black box.
The importance that whatever genre you put something in, that it feels how you expect it to feel, whatever that part of it is, right? Like a Souls-like needs to feel brutal, and a roguelike needs to feel progressive enough, and like a Metroidvania needs to feel like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think they actually did a pretty good job with this, because you're going into it saying like, oh, this is Light Gun series. Like, well, yeah, you know exactly what to do.
Dan,
they don't have platform. They don't have platformer.
Well, I don't think they have
pretty
platformer.
early.
I mean,
Yeah,
this is pretty early, but this is Super Mario
1985.
Brothers.
Right.
They invented
but they didn't have the word platformer for Super Mario.
You're
Brothers.
referencing this is the official Nintendo Player's Guide 1987 that you're referencing.
Yeah.
When it came with
and
the
back
NES.
then,
No
if you called it
RPG
arcade, if you called it arcade series, like you would have known exactly what that meant. Like, this is
And
Robot
I
series.
reference this all the time. Reason being is it illustrates how our understanding of genre has changed over time.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
So people will say, well, Shigeru Miyamoto said that Zelda is an RPG. And it's like, yeah, he said it is. And he also said it isn't. You can find a quote for either.
Yeah.
Because his understanding of RPG was evolving as they were going through those early things, So, I think it's beautiful, though. They've got adventure games, programmable series, which is weird.
Great.
Action. Almost every game is action.
So with the programmable series, it's got to be like, what, 2 games?
Well, same thing with the robot series.
Well, and even there you have
aren't
weird
those the
fusions
robot
where, because I think Excitebike is considered programmable because you can make your custom tracks.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
And I know it's funny to be like, wow, robot series, both games, but you went into those games knowing exactly what to expect. I think that's the takeaway for me for genre is that, like, if you tell me that this is a horror a horror Western platformer with RPG elements, I kind of know exactly what you're talking about. I'm like, oh yeah. That sounds.
Well, so at what point though do we
game.
go from having an actual genre classification to just a bunch of adjectives we can slap in front of the word?
But that's what you need to do. That's how you sell a game.
I think that's also how you develop new subgenres or new genres entirely. So take Metroidvania, for example, right? It's essentially an action platformer until it's not, until it's an action platformer RPG. And then eventually you develop, this is a whole thing. Rather than saying it's an action blah, 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 you truncate it down into one thing. Now, I think even that needs to start to be, evolved further. It's 30 years old at this point. But yeah, that's the way. Was it John, you mentioned music earlier?
Yes.
Yeah. Music all over the place.
Well, in Metroidvania cracks me up because the Vania part of Metroidvania only accounts for like a little small portion of Castlevania.
Yeah.
Most Castlevania games are not like that.
Should have been called Blaster.
I actually
Blaster.
kind of like Nintendo's preferred term to protect their trademark on the word Metroid. They have their own term they usually refer it to it as, which is search action platformer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little on the bland side, but
they're combining
it's
their
effective.
own.
It's kind of like their first person adventure game with Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
Right. Because in a creative industry.
But they didn't want to call it a first person shooter, and then you play it and you're like, this isn't Halo or Call of Duty. Like, it's not.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to be like, recommend me an RPG and somebody says Mario 3 and you play it and you're like, what the heck? Yeah, you don't want to.
So it's important and silly at the same time.
Oh yeah, and everybody in a creative industry, eventually there's going to be a first. Somebody's going to come up with something new. Before Pac-Man, you didn't really have this kind of like Maze Runner type thing, and Pac-Man kind of popularizes that. And then this genre develops. But it's not like when, I can't remember if it's Maze Runner or Maze Action or something like that. Whatever the actual term is. But it's not like Pac-Man dropped and day one they were like, we know exactly what this is, right? Like that kind of vantage
over time.
Of understanding. Yeah, it develops over time.
And there usually has to be more than one,
Yeah.
So there was some other thing I just kind of dropped in here that was a thought. When we talk about other art forms, especially really old art forms like the visual arts, there is this distinction between what are called genres and what are just called movements.
Sure.
So like in painting, like landscape is a genre. Right. Cubism is a
Baroque
movement.
Yeah.
Impressionist.
Yeah. I really appreciate that about the visual arts. And it's something, going back to Dan's favorite thing, talking about retro, right? It's something that I tried to propose for the term retro. I think it's ridiculous to suggest that The Last of Us and E.T. the Extraterrestrial on Atari 2600 can occupy the same, category. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. So, if this whole discussion has been about the usefulness of the terms that we use, then I think we should have, terms that mean specific things, and you base that on history. In this, context would be basing that on technology in history. And so I hope that eventually we adopt some of that from the visual arts. And so, gaming will have its kind of Baroque period, its Cubism, its Impression, and all that stuff. You have
eras. A little bit of that. You have a little bit of that. People can reference a 16-bit or polygonal in their style.
And I've always kind of observed, like, there's a very distinct, I think, difference in design philosophy between, like, Super Nintendo era RPGs and, like, PlayStation 2 era RPGs.
For sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I don't think it's a genre difference.
No.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's good.
I agree. And retro is not a genre anyway. It's a category or classification.
It's a collection of everything.
And it all kind of comes back to, like, what do you expect? What do you want people to take away from this, and what do you want them to expect when they jump in? Which, as an interactive medium, makes it so difficult because, I mean, film for the last 50 years has had a language that we all follow. When you watch a 2-hour film, you might not even know it, but you already know that what's happening on screen is going to like how it's going to happen. That when you're looking over this person's shoulder, they're on the left and the other person is on the right. When they're there, you don't cross this one boundary where all the cameras are on this side of the screen. There's like language that you understand in a film that they don't break. And video games don't do that. Video games are constantly breaking stuff to like see what other genre or what other like weird stuff we can come up with visually, because the interactive media makes it so much more like personal, honestly. There's that one game, and I don't even know what it's called, but I see it on like streams all the time where like you have to like line up a picture and then you take the picture and then the camera can go like into the picture and then you're in a different scene and then you like find the next like vignette and then you take that picture and then you go into the, and does anybody know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I've seen what you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called.
I wish I knew what it's called. Somebody listening is screaming at me right now. But it's just a whole new way of like taking the camera somewhere where you didn't think it would go. And I've never seen anything like it or since. And that kind of thing is like, what genre is that? Like freaking indie. Like, what is it, you know? Yeah. So to me, gaming has an extremely unique challenge trying to describe itself.
Well, and you can even use an analogy to, you know, the taxonomy of biology.
Yeah.
In which, you know, there you supposedly, even there it's really hard to figure out what stuff is, but you do have this idea of you can go down to species, and species cannot produce fertile offspring with other species, and that's what defines them.
Yeah.
And supposedly we go tracing by assumed common ancestors. But in games, all the species are inbreeding. You know, we have RPG shooter, hybrid looter shooter, RPG roguelite deck builders.
Yeah, and unlike biology, it's good for games to do that. Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of resistance that I've met out there. So the big one, we were talking about this too, Mole. The big one on the Super Nintendo list is the roll-em-ups. I want to die and be the guy that is known for coining the term roll-em-up. And a roll-em-up is a beat-em-up with RPG progression mechanics in it, right?
Nice.
I love that.
Yes. And I think if I could be known for one thing, it's not the love of my children or anything like that. I just want to die having coined this term.
On your tombstone, it just says Moses coined the term roll 'em up.
Roll 'em up. So there you go.
It's going to have it in
ROLE.
The quotations.
Quotations.
Yeah.
Moses roll
You
them.
gotta make sure you spell it right, because if you spell it with two
You
L's,
do.
then people will think you're talking about Katamari.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, and that's not it. Yeah, I've had people
Or Kiki's
repeat
delivery
it back
service.
to me. Yeah, Kiki's delivery service. Oh my gosh.
Roll them up.
So I've shared this list several times, and the two that people are always against is the King of Dragons and Knights of the Round, and I understand why, right? Moldy and I were talking about this, that like you said something like, I understand why you included them, but I wouldn't have included them myself. And I was like, yeah, totally fair. The way that I structured kind of the qualifications of an RPG for the sake of this book, I had to make them as concrete as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing that irks me about genre is when people say, well, it feels like, and I get that there's a kind of feeling, but your feeling and my feeling are two different things.
Yep.
I've had people say, well, it's an RPG because I enjoyed it. I was like, what am I even supposed to do with that?
I like RPGs, and I
like,
enjoyed this game, so it's an RPG.
Right. I mean, we're talking about definitions here. If we can't share a definition on words, we certainly can't communicate.
Right.
But
we need a baseline.
anyways, yeah, you need a base. You need that standard so you can understand the fringe. But so with King of Dragons, Knights of the Round, obviously they're not. People will be like, they're not RPGs, and I'm saying you're right. They're not. They're roll 'em ups. They're RPG hybrids.
Let's go.
And all you got to do is compare them to Captain Commando, Turtles in Time, other RPG or other roll 'em ups, other beat 'em ups, beg your pardon, on the system. And there is a mechanical difference, very slight, but
they don't fit exactly in beat 'em up either.
Exactly. And
I have no problem just thinking of them as beat 'em ups with a little something.
And you
extra.
know what? You're right. They are beat 'em ups with RPG elements. So that's the fun part.
So where would you place Gauntlet?
I was just gonna say Gauntlet.
Gauntlet Legends.
I mean, honestly,
Legends is the one with an RPG.
Legends.
Yes.
I would say is an RPG. I've included it on lists that I've built of roll 'em ups like Dragon's Crown, Castle Crashers, River City Girls. Oh my god, you guys! If you've not played River City Girls,
it has been on my wish list forever. I need to do it.
Yeah, if you've not embraced your inner girl and played River City Girls, like, it is
excellent.
It's a phenomenal game.
Well, I guess you could say that Marvel Cosmic Invasion then is absolutely a roll 'em up.
Yeah, I played a little bit of that recently. I don't remember it much though. So
because
I couldn't comment.
I mean, it is the same thing. This is more just a mild. I mean, I like the game. A mild criticism of the game. I think, and this is part of, I think, why it doesn't define King of Dragons for me, or Knights of the Round. I haven't played King of Dragons. I have played Knights of the Round. Is that I can very easily imagine the game without the RPG elements, and it doesn't seem that different to me.
Right. So that's an interesting statement. I mean, do you have to imagine them without the RPG elements? But if you're saying I could imagine them without, what are you removing? If you're removing something with your imagination, then what actually is there in the game itself is something, however minuscule. There are a couple other, though, just to comment on that, there's a couple other things on this list that are also weird, like King of Dragons and Knights of the Round, but nobody ever seems to mention those. Like Magic Sword is on here. Magic Sword is this, really fun action arcade game where you climb a tower and you get like a secondary character that levels up, right? Barely anything. But as it turns out, Capcom did Magic Sword. Capcom did King of Dragons, Knights of the Round. Capcom did the two Dungeons and Dragons beat 'em ups that also have RPGs. So somebody at Capcom was like, how do we figure out how do we figure out how to make a combination of RPG progression and arcade style beat 'em ups? A question that I've asked people is, if we can use imagination again here, Mo, could you imagine what an RPG could you imagine what an arcade beat 'em up would look like if you did fuse it with RPG elements. I propose it would look exactly like these games, because it would still have to have that kind of briskness and speed of an arcade game, because that's what these are essentially. They were just ported to the Super Nintendo. But to give them that kind of extra mechanical element, I think you'd wind up exactly with these. And I think that's what Capcom was trying to do with so many games in such a short period of time in the 90s, was figure out how to combine beat 'em up and RPG. Now you could say, well, it's impossible to combine those two genres. But at that point, I'd like to know why. Why can you combine other genres with RPGs, and why can't you combine an RPG and an arcade beat 'em up?
I also think of it in the other way, where you can have something like Tales of Symphonia, where your battle system is basically a fighting game. It's an RPG until you're fighting, and
it's
now
an
you're
action RPG.
But it's not an action RPG because the battles don't take place in the same. It's not Zelda where you're fighting your you go into a cutscene.
You go to a separate screen.
But I would still say that
it's not a turn-based RPG because you're fighting like a fighting game.
Yeah,
it just is real
There's
time.
also the complexity of there just being different modes within games too, where we can recognize like, oh, that is a mini game. So I wouldn't say necessarily that Street Fighter 6 is an RPG, but I can definitely acknowledge, like, if you play World Tour mode, that's an RPG. Yeah, because that puts that stuff there onto the fighting system, but it's not the definitive way that defines what Street Fighter 6 is, because you can play Street Fighter 6 and just play online versus matches, and you're playing Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, there's a game exactly like what Dan just described on Super Nintendo as well. Nobody ever talks about it. It's called Dragon View. It's a sequel to Draken, which was the first RPG for the system in the West. And it does exactly that. You'll be exploring an overworld. When you hit, it looks like a Looney Tunes cloud where like characters are fighting inside of it. When you hit that, it takes you to a separate screen, and at that point, it plays exactly like a beat 'em up.
Yeah,
you're moving side to side, and along the two axes. You can jump, you can slash. It's very much like a beat 'em up. It's just confined specifically to just the combat sequence.
We are running into about 2 hours now. I don't want to necessarily stop talking, but if we could put a nice little bow on, this incredibly ethereal and subjective conversation we found ourselves in, trying to find some kind of baseline, which I feel like we landed on a few places, at least for how to satisfy ourselves. What do you guys, when you are like shopping for video games, because that's honestly why genre exists, is to describe a thing, for like to be unsexy about it for marketing. I mean, it's this with RPG elements, it's a platformer, it's this and that. Not that I don't think anybody maybe they do. I don't know. They probably do still use terms in like marketing and stuff like that. But when something says, oh, it's an RPG, everybody kind of has their own image of what that is in their head. And so where does that kind of land for you guys? If that makes sense.
Well, I kind of hinted at this before. I think with RPG, maybe more than any, I'd have to think kind of hard about it. Maybe more so than any other genre. I'm just going to have to ask, what kind of RPG is it?
Right.
I need more to go off of than that. And that I think is fair. That's not trying to, claim this or that is or isn't an RPG. Just that I need more to go off of to figure out if it's the kind of RPG I usually enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a time thing,
Absolutely
because
accurate.
if somebody asked you that same question in 1996, you would have been like, oh yeah, it's a turn-based RPG because that's an RPG, but not in 2026.
I think it also depends on how engrossed you are in the market. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think that I never really shop based on genre. Like, I'm more particularly looking at what games look like and how they play versus somebody telling me, oh, this game is this, or, so, I mean, to me, the genre is less important and the gameplay is more important.
That makes me think of when Adam sold me on Ball Pit and he was like, oh, Dan, try this. It's a roguelike breakout RPG. And I was like,
breakout.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm down.
That's wonderful.
You could probably just drop RPG off of there.
And hold on,
be fine.
Also, it's a city builder. Also, so just
yes,
nice. Yeah,
that game's.
You know what? I would add on top of genre being useful for recommendation and marketing. I think two other things come to mind. I think it's useful for ludology if you want to study video games. Because there are people who do, they'll go to university or they'll spend a couple of years writing a book. But they'll, there's also, thanks for the polite chuckle. There's also the fact that developers can use genre as a goal while developing. And that's something I've run into a lot in interviews. Developers will say things like, we knew we wanted to develop an RPG, or we knew that we'd done a lot of action games, so we wanted to do a fighting game next, or, stuff like that. And that would determine who you hire. You don't need to hire a story planner if you're developing a racing game, but you would need to hire, a scenario writer, as they used to call him, for an RPG. Right. So I think that genre can determine a lot of things about study, a lot of things about how games are marketed, a lot of things about how games are recommended between players. It can help developers understand the project that they're undertaking as well. Mm-hmm. So it does have some
design.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to talk too much about fighting games, and I won't derail us into that for too long. But one of the design concepts for ARMS was, what if you had a fighting game that had a behind the shoulder perspective, and how would that work? That's pretty much how they came up with ARMS.
And that seems to be taking two different kind of genres and mashing it together, huh?
That game is really like nothing else, so it's its own.
Well, and so I think, like my previous example, like you might want to make a RPG that's like the most RPG, and you're gonna have random encounters and turn-based combat. You might also do the opposite thing, where you're like, let's make a fighting game that appeals to people who don't normally like fighting games, and then you get like maybe like a Super Smash Brothers or an ARMS
or Power Stone.
Ooh, Power Stone. Now we're talking. Smash Brothers is really interesting. I mean, they really took the fighting genre and just like...
Well, and there's a whole undercurrent to that. Like, is Smash a fighting game? Where I think some people are trying to like delegitimize it as a competitive thing,
party game.
That's a whole other like subtext to it.
Yeah, and I've heard people describe it as like a party fighting game, and I'm fine with that. It's not as serious
the people that are like trying to get it out of the fighting game scene. It just makes no sense. Why would you want to exclude something that's going to bring people that don't usually come to the events?
Because they're
like the whole idea is that you want to expand your event so that it draws in more money and the prizes get larger.
If your local scene where you show up to play, Tekken every week is now dominated by people playing Smash and you have no interest in it, I can see why that would give you, a little chipping.
Yeah, but on the large stage, there's always people that are going to be playing. If the money's there, the people are going to be there.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so funny that people would keep the term RPG, because like, who are you playing? where
where's the competition at?
Playing against?
Where's your tournament? What are you talking about?
Right.
You haven't
It's
been
like,
to the Chrono
is it
Trigger
cheating
tournament?
if you're playing a single player game?
Yeah. All right.
I find that people attach quality to a genre or a classification. You see this with indies all the time, where people will be like, a game is automatically better because it's an indie. And it's like, no, it's not.
And then you ask them what an indie game is, and they don't know.
One, they might not even be able to find. But like, I've played some really garbage indies because one person made it in a basement and they'd never developed a game before or even thought of how to develop a game before.
Yeah.
And it releases broken and busted and it's worthless, And that's not coming down on indie devs or anything like that. That's just facts.
No, there's this is like everything else. There's different kinds of indie devs. There's indie devs that have never made a game before, and then there's some that broke off of the big dev and decided to make their own platform.
Yeah. Yep. Claire Obscure.
There you go.
I guess. I don't know. It's so confusing with the indie.
I'm gonna let's wrap this thing up here a little bit, and I'm gonna give first of all, thank you, Moses, for coming in and educating us and also just having such a cool, thought-provoking conversation. Love it. I'm sure we made tons of people mad, which is can't help
That's
it.
the best part, Dan.
Let's go. But I want to give you a chance to say anything that you have going on that you want to people can check out or see. And I know you talked about your streaming. Maybe you could just plug that again.
Sure.
And just let people know where they can find you and all that.
Well, thank you. Thanks very much for having me, you guys. It was a really pleasant conversation, which is a nice, refreshing change of pace to talk about RPGs and not have somebody call you whatever as they do on the socials these days. So thanks very much. Like I mentioned earlier, the book is currently out of print. You cannot purchase it. You can check eBay. John will probably be putting his up there later tonight.
Oh my God.
And but it will be reprinted, rest assured, and there is a volume 2 coming. So keep an eye out for that, please. I can't give you more details right now. The only thing I'm really doing right now is streaming, and we are playing through the last of the Super Nintendo RPGs. It's been a blast. It's been an eye-opening experience. Super Nintendo is my favorite system of all time, and to discover new games on there, new to me, that I had never even heard of before, is just it's a valueless experience to come full circle.
Wow.
No, priceless experience. So I stream every day every weekday, beg your pardon, on YouTube and on Twitch under the Well-Red Mage, R-E-D, not R-E-A-D. Don't be a dunce. At 1 p.m. Central, so you can come check that out. I'm only on for a few hours. But we do like to have these kinds of discussions on stream. I mean, sometimes the chat will show up and they just want to pick a fight about how much I don't like Nintendo Way of the Ninja, or, whatever it is that they want to pick a fight about. And I'll yell at them and stuff like that. And it's all in good fun. But we do like to have really thought-provoking conversations as well. So I think if you enjoyed this discussion, you'd probably enjoy the discussions on stream. And that's about it. I think that's everything I got to plug.
You'll have to stream the Floating Limb RPG. Otherwise known as Plock.
Oh, okay. It's Plock and RPG.
I don't think Plock is an RPG. I'm not gonna make that argument.
But I have to wait for Plocktober, so
that's right.
Let's go.
See, I know how it's done.
Well, Moses, you're a friend of the Discord. You're my personal friend as well, and so any time you come on is a joy. So just thanks a lot for making time for us. Yeah,
thank you.
And listeners, thanks for listening to the podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, you can check me out at Blue Sky, at retrologicgames.bsky.social. You can also check out John. Are you on Blue Sky, John? Or are you just on Twitter? As On Topic Retro.
I don't have Blue Sky, and my Twitter is literally just a way to create a link to post the show.
It's between social medias right
it's
now.
All good. I'm pretty active. I'm pretty active on Blue Sky. So if you want to hang out with me on there. That's all good. I also post about the show and like what we're doing, so get all that info. You're also more than welcome to check out our Discord. It's 100% non-toxic Discord community. The link is in my Blue Sky bio. It's also on the website, again, retrologic.games.
That's really the place to be rather than the other platforms.
Yeah.
It's definitely more valuable.
Yeah, the Discord is where I spend most of my social time. But if you want to see my pickups, actually I had a great pickup today. Today is Bomberman's second attack day, N64. That was a pretty gnarly pickup. So
traded a kid for it, right?
Traded a liver and an arm, but it was a trade, so I didn't have to pay cash. So that's a win, I'd say. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.